Hello, it's me again. I am sitting here at 9 o'clock at night in my apartment making this video because my pre-scheduled videos are not making the cut for how many days I'm gone in Japan. So here I am, I'm trying to not lose my streak, but anyways, the majority of this video is going to be based on what I learned in my past job. And if you guys have been keeping up with my videos, or if you're new to this channel, I have worked as a dance videographer, and I've traveled all around the US basically, and some of Canada for these dance competitions that occur. And I lug around these big video cases with cables and Zooms and microphones and all kinds of stuff. And I sit there and I type in entries and I track the dancers and I live stream everything and make sure everything goes up smoothly. And then I have to upload everything at night so that the parents can see the videos the next day. So it's a pretty grueling schedule where you're sitting down for 12 to 16 hours a day. You get few breaks, maybe one lunch break, which is like maybe 30 minutes if you're lucky. So, this has been over the course of about 6 months. So I've learned quite a few things, not only, doing this job, but also like about myself and some of the things that I am taking with me moving forward. So I guess the first thing that I want to start out with is starting the job. So like when I started the job, I actually didn't want to take the interview because I was like, it's a dance videographer. I'm sure it's going to be like a dad cam and you're just going to be sitting in the back and you're just going to be on a tripod and you're just going to hit record and that's what you're going to do. And honestly, it was fine because I knew it was traveling. So I was like, okay, well, let me just see what it is. And so I was like a minute late to my interview. And then I had like 4 other interviews after that. So it was a pretty interesting interview process. But, I learned that even though it may seem like a not great job at the start, that doesn't mean that it's going to end up being a bad job. As you've seen, I've grown very fond of this job and very connected to it, even though there have been some really tough, challenging parts. Learning that, taking an interview, showing a little bit of interest is a good thing. That should happen because you never know what can come of it. So that was like the first thing that I really learned from this job is that you gotta take chances on some things that don't sound appealing, but maybe they could be something, so it's better than nothing. I'd say the second thing that I've learned is how quickly I can pick up things. We had one in-class staff training, and it was so much information. I remember coming home from that staff training and losing my mind over all of the things that we had to do because it wasn't just dad camming. It was, you have to know what cables connect to this. It was, if your cable or your AVERT media breaks, then this is how you got to fix it. And like, there was so much to learn and how to do things and how to get the dancers and what kind of framing they want. And it was just a whole curve. And I was so nervous about messing all of it up because it's such a big responsibility and you're doing it alone. That's another thing. Like, it's just you and then like the other photographer, but the photographer has no idea about what you do in your job. They're just worried about the photo things and we're worried about the video things. So it's very intense from the get-go. It's something that is very scary. And so I've learned that I can pick up things really quickly, even under an immense amount of stress. We had 2 in-field training. So we went to 2 competitions. We had a video coach and they told us how they did things, why they do things, how they check things. So it kind of laid a basis for me of like, okay, well, how do I want to run my own things? How do I want to do this to where it sets me up for success at the end because everyone talks about this big nationals gig where you get a bonus and you get like, time to enjoy stuff and you go to these really cool places and this, that, and the other. And so I was like, okay, well, like, let me try and do this right and figure out, my kind of routine, because I know that I work well with routines. So I tried to set up my routine the first few competitions I did alone. And again, I was super terrified to do those competitions alone because to me, it was like everything is weighing on me. These kids are going to get these videos, and if they're trash, that's on me. If these parents end up being not happy because of how the video looks, that's on me. Like, I am the person to blame if something goes wrong. And not only that, it's also the stress of if your technology cuts out on you, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix it? Basically. And so it was a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, but I also tend to hate the pressure, but I tend to really thrive on pressure because it's such an immense amount of pressure that I cannot allow room for mistakes or mess ups, because if I do, then I have to go back and fix my own mistakes, which is just ultimately going to take longer. It's going to add more hours into the day, and I don't want that. So my idea was to be close to perfect for the season. And that's something that I learned, is that like even under an immense amount of stress and everything, I still have a vision of being perfect and trying really, really, really hard to get a really good result so that I can portray myself as a really good videographer, and then I could get that kind of recognition and job in the end, getting to nationals, right? So I learned that by working under a lot of stress is helpful to me, honestly. I hate it. I hate the stress. I hate worrying. I hate, having the nightmares of me screwing up the job. And I've had so many nightmares of just messing it up so much to the point of like no return. But through all of that, I've made some really great stuff, and I have some really great stuff for my portfolio. So there's always a light through really, really intense dark times. I don't know if you consider it dark, but like intense times. I'd say another thing that I learned for personal growth, I learned so much about traveling. At the start of this job, again, I was so afraid of traveling alone, of losing sight of where I'm going or missing turns and exits and, screwing up time logs and getting on the wrong flight. Like all of those things were in my brain, all of those fears and worries. But then I got to actually doing it. And then I got to, figure out, okay, I need to be here at this time. Okay, well, I need to schedule a rental car at that time so I can have the rental car ready by the time I get into the flight. And then I need to go pick up food. Okay, well, what kind of restaurants are around there? Or can I get some food in the airport and then bring it and then go check into my hotel? Or what time is the hotel check-in at time at? Or do I have some free time before I have to go check in? Things like that. And then I would find things if I had a late check-in. Then I would find things to do around me. So where's a park? Where's a place where I can have fun for free? So I feel like that was such a big learning part for me. And that was honestly where I feel like I grew the most, is that traveling solo and being okay with the company of myself and relying on myself for directions and, timing and schedules and stuff like that. I am such not a good planner and, I've always relied on my parents or my partners or things like that to kind of make those set schedules for me, I guess, and the plans. But this job, it was all on me to make those schedules, make those plans. And I really feel like I thrived at that. And I have this sense of, oh my God, I did it. I'm so proud of myself because I've done these things. I've traveled alone. Like I did it. I know that I could go to another country by myself and come back and have everything be fine because I just followed the instructions, right? It's hard. It takes a lot of brain capacity, and I hate it that it's hard, you know, learning these things, figuring out things, like pre-planning ahead, knowing where you're going to go, knowing if you have, you know, the visas or the passport or, you know, the check-in numbers, like all of that is very stressy and intense. And again, that's like kind of where I'm just like, can someone else just do it? Because it's like annoying. But like I've learned that I literally can do that on my own and be fine, even though it's hard. So I really feel like I've grown in that area, and I've learned a lot from traveling solo. And also like relying on myself and knowing that I can get to places on my own by making my own plans. And that's honestly really important because that has been such a fear of mine. Because I've been directionally challenged my whole life. Like I've always needed GPS. I've always, you know, needed to know where to go. It's been like that. So, you know, when going to a new city or going to a new country, like it's just really overwhelming because you're like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do now? You know what I mean? So you figure it out and you go and you really grow through these challenges and these experiences. And so that's something that I really did learn going into this job and traveling for it, and, you know, learning how rental cars work and how hotel points work and airline miles and all these things. I've just gained so much more knowledge for, and I'm so appreciative for that because ultimately that's what I want to do with my life. Is I literally just want to travel for as long as I can, for as much as I can throughout the year. Like that's just my goal. I feel like that's ultimately like what I'm wanting to do. Like that's it. That's the goal. That's the dream. And also bring you guys along and have these experiences with each other. I feel like another really big thing that I learned is that you cannot panic when things go wrong. I've had nightmares about, you know, messing things up. I've had, you know, nightmares about things not working. And the funny thing is that I've had things not work on me. I've had, you know, my laptop freeze up on me multiple times, actually. You know, I've had cables have static in them and I have to replace them or move them or clip them into something else. I've had all these things go wrong. And when they go wrong, I freak out a little bit. I'm like, oh my God. And I stress out. But then something switches in my brain. It's like, okay, a competition is active right now. What do I need to do? First, I'm going to go alert the competition people, be like, hey, I need 5 minutes to figure this issue out. And then I'm going to go and tinker around and figure out what's the issue and how to solve it. And then I'm going to Slack people on my messaging group. We have like a Slack channel of like tech support people, and I'm gonna be asking questions, texting pictures, be like, hey, what's going on? Help me figure this out. And I've learned that I'm very good at putting the panic aside and just trying to solve the problem. Again, at the beginning, that was really hard to put aside the panic because your adrenaline's pumping. You know, again, you don't want to get blamed for having the schedule be behind. You know, you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? I cannot literally do anything if my laptop is frozen. So it's like, okay, like, what are you going to do about it? You know? And that's something that I really learned is that, like, especially in life, like when things go wrong, I tend to literally panic. I freak out because it's hard because you think that things are going great and then they're just not. And then you freak out because you don't know how to fix it. You don't know how to solve it. It's like this thing where it's like overwhelming and you kind of just freeze. And I've learned to kind of push past the feeling of being frozen and focus on the issue and trying to solve it because time is ticking. I feel like this is also a big thing that I've learned is that time is ticking. Like if you're not actively trying to do something, actually trying to solve something, like the time is going by. It's going by, you're wasting it. I have this really big thing about time, and I've realized this doing this job, is that, you know, like time is very valuable. That's probably the most valuable thing that you have. And that's what people pay you for, is your time, honestly. And for me, time is so precious because we only have a limited amount. And I know it's just like just a number on a clock, or, you know, something that we just made up to have schedules be on time and stuff, but like time is real, and it actively exists, and we are getting older, and, you know, I feel like time is very valuable, and knowing where to put your time and energy in is super, super important. For an example, we've had a lot of competitions go over time, like an hour and a half, an hour, and time is just going. It's going. And if you don't, you know, try to squeeze in a little time for yourself and go to a park or something before the competition starts or whatever, like, and you're just sitting in your hotel room, like, what good is that doing? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like time is of the essence. It's very precious, and that's what you have to really feel like you're alive. It's something that you can really put yourself in, focus, be present, and, you know, I feel like sometimes people forget that. And so with this job, I feel like time was moving, yet it was also moving so slow, because of these 12-hour days and stuff like that. But yeah, time is very valuable and important. And I was asked, like, why do I care about time so much and spending time in the right ways? Is because, like, that to me is everything. Like, knowing where to put your time and energy in is something that is very valuable. Because if you're putting your time and energy into the wrong thing, like, that's a waste. You know, it's a waste. And I'm not saying that, like, vacation or, you know, I don't know, making time for yourself is not a waste, or is a waste. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, if you don't think that it's bringing value to you in some way, then it becomes a waste, right? Like, if you're scrolling on Instagram for hours or TikTok for hours, like, yeah, that's going to be a waste, because, like, what did you do? Do you even remember the last video that you saw? I don't know. I mean, unless you consider that as, like, relaxing, then, and you say it is valuable. I mean, it's all open to interpretation. But to me, like, time is so important to me because, again, everyone's getting older. Like, my cat died. People are starting to get married and have kids and stuff. Like, everything is going so fast. And I'm realizing this, and I'm like, well, I need to be doing stuff because, like, I don't know when my last day is. I don't know, you know, when other people around me last day is. I don't know. And so I want to do as much as I can with the time that I have, so that I have those memories, I have those things to cherish and hold on to until my last days. That's all I gotta say about that. Next thing that I learned is that I am actually more capable than I think when I'm very, very tired. When I get very tired, I get very, like, delirious, and I just start forgetting things. And that's, like, the worst thing. But I figured that, like, once I get some blood moving, so if I do, like, a few push-ups or I do, like, a few jumping jacks, that starts to jog my mind, and I get a little bit less tired and kind of out of that delirious kind of state, and I can, like, keep working. You know what I mean? Again, with these, like, 16-hour days, like, it's a lot, and you're doing kind of roughly the same thing, even though they're different dances, but, like, you're sitting there and you're falling asleep, so your work kind of becomes sloppy. My work becomes sloppy. And I've realized that, and I'm like, well, what can we do about it, right? How can we solve it? And I realized that, like, you know, standing up, getting your blood moving in some type of way, just even sitting in the chair, doing some, like, dips or whatever, boom, problem solved. And so in that way, I'm more capable than I think. And also, when I get to the hotel to upload all this stuff, I'm, like, so exhausted. But, like, just kind of pushing through that a little bit, I'm still capable. I'm still able to not mess up and, you know, get what I have to do done. So I've learned that I'm a lot more capable than I think when I'm tired. I learned that it's the people that you work with that really make your job. I'm also going to speak on this from other jobs in the past, but it's all on who you work with. If people who you're working with are not fun or not laughing about it with you or mean to you, like obviously it's not going to be fun. Obviously it's going to be a horrible experience and you're going to complain about it, right? But like I've had those experiences, right, with some companies, and I've also had some really great experiences with companies, right? And I'm like, man, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. Like, this is like, why can't I just stay with this company and like just travel around or whatever, you know? So again, it's all on who you work with. My last nationals, I've worked with such a great group, right? I've worked with such a great comp, and I've also worked with great co-workers as well, like the photographer, the switchers, like all of them. They were so great, and you know, they would laugh and make jokes, and you know, we would be on the comms and say something goofy and we would all respond. It was just a lot of fun. And I feel like a lot of people take their job so seriously sometimes, where it's like you don't allow yourself to have that kind of fun. And I feel like the fun people at work, everyone wants to work with them because they're so fun. So I don't know. I like to be fun at work because, I mean, again, you're working really long hours. You're with the same people for a really long time. So might as well make some jokes. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's all on the people who you work with that really make or break the experience, is what I've learned and grown to learn throughout not even just this job, but all of my jobs. Another thing that I've learned is endings are bittersweet. They're just bittersweet. This job came to an end and I was glad, but then I was like, wait, now what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, I had so much fun traveling and learning and, you know, filming all these dances and seeing these dances, right? Like, it's like a form of entertainment for me. Like, I've grown so much throughout this process and this season. And, you know, to have it all end, I'm like, well, now what? What's the next challenge? What's gonna keep my brain, you know, stimulated and, you know, thinking and on its toes? You know, that's always what I'm trying to do. But it's bittersweet because, you know, again, you get home from these like 13-hour days and you're like, I hate this job. I really hate this job. Like, why can't it just end earlier? Why can't we have normal hours? You know, and you'll complain and you'll, you know, bitch and you'll be mad about it. But like, at the end of the day, you love that. You love it. I love it. And again, like, it's bittersweet. Like, it sucks, but it's good, but I don't know. You miss it. And that's the thing that I think also is something that I'm learning, is that like all the jobs that I've had have been bittersweet. I have hated them. I've hated them, but I've also learned so much in some of them. Some of them I actually just hate. But like some of them I have like a love-hate relationship. And it's that, you know, bittersweet feeling where you have learned and laughed and, you know, cried over all of this stuff. And yet you're sitting here looking back on it, the experience, you know, the intense moments, the wonderful moments, and you're just like, dang, this sucks, but it's kind of good that it ended. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could do this all year round, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I always feel very nostalgic about things because I like to reflect on, you know, my experience and what I've learned and grown from things, because that's how I learn. I don't rely on my college degree at all. But, you know, I reflect and have these experiences, and I don't know, the bittersweet feeling is always there, no matter what happens. The ending is always bittersweet. Even in movies, you watch a good movie, the ending is bittersweet somehow. Or you're like, that was such a good movie, but now it's ending. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, that was good, but like now it's over. So, I don't know, maybe it's like a life thing where just everything is bittersweet, and endings are always bittersweet. Unless it's like really a toxic and a not good thing. like job and stuff, then it's literally just bitter. There is no sweet. Sweet does not exist. I feel like out of all of this that's been said, I've learned that I am more capable than I think I am alone, but also it's good to have good people around you, fun people around you, people that also challenge how you think, because then you're not really being challenged and you're not trying to change your perspective, change your mindsets, right? You're just kind of stuck in the same one and you just are there. And it's kind of boring, honestly, I think. But yeah, so I don't know. It's all about the experience. I honestly think I've grown and learned more in this job than I've learned in any other job that I've had previous. And I've worked on like a TV show, right? For like A&E. So I don't know what about this job was, I mean, I guess this whole video was my reasoning for it, but yeah, I don't know. I've grown so much. I've learned so much and done so much in so many places. And I think it's really incredible. And honestly, if I do go back next year, I might do a few things differently. That's my past job and my experience and what I've learned from doing all of that and going for it and traveling and just saying yes to every and any opportunity. I think it's really important in life is even if you're not sure about it, just go do it. Why not? You know, what's the worst that can happen? Sometimes you can go back, sometimes you can't, but maybe when you can't, it's better that way. You're better off that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. Now I'm just kind of talking because I'm tired and it's late and I'm, whatever. But I encourage you guys to take a look at your job, your jobs, your past experiences too, and pick out some of the things that you've learned from them. What have you grown from? What do you want from your job or your next job? Like if you're trying to apply, like you're going to be like, well, what do I want to get out of this, right? What's the experience, And if you're doing a job just to get money and stuff, I mean, that's good too, but you can still have a intention, right? You can still be like, okay, well, I'm going in this for this, but like, what can I learn from this? And just go into it that way. But yeah, like I really encourage you guys to reflect on your jobs or your job that you're in now and kind of what you want, Is this where you want to be? Is this a good job that will last? Is this something that will keep you challenged in ways? These are just some of the questions that I ask, mostly because I don't know, I always like asking questions, answering questions. I always am thinking, okay? Bottom line, I'm always thinking. Again, I feel like if you're not asking yourself questions or reflecting on things, you're not really learning anything or growing from it. So, and that's where the past can repeat itself and then things get weird and, things just never change. But this is how you start changing. You just start reflecting and realizing and learning and growing, and that's the most important part in your 20s. I'm 23. Start asking yourself some really big questions that you don't know the answer to even, and figure it out. Because I guarantee you what those answers become is something really special. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I need to go to bed. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want to know my gear list, it's all down in the description below. Also, my Patreon page, so if you want to go support there too, you can. And I hope you guys have a great day or night, whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Enjoy life. Live it up.